Good morning. It's time to get in touch. In Touch is a public affairs show dedicated to improving the lives of Susquehanna Valley residents. I'm Freddi Hammer, News Director at Backyard Broadcasting. The Thomas T. Tabor Museum of the Lycoming County Historical Society chronicles the history of north central Pennsylvania from the American Indian occupation through the 21st century and features a whole host of exhibits that change and rotate often. Most recently, a private collection of motorcycles that draws many visitors to the facility on West 4th Street in downtown Williamsport. This morning, I'm thrilled to be able to speak with the executive director of the museum, Gary Parks. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning.
Tell me who Thomas Tabor is.
Tom Tabor gave us $1 million during our capital campaign in the late 1990s. And so it was felt that we should honor him by renaming the building the Thomas T. Tabor Museum. He's very much with us. He lives in the county and supports the museum through his marvelous work on logging and lumbering history, and continues to be an influence.
How interesting is really probably the origin of many of the millionaires here in Williamsport.
Well, he's contemporary, of course. He's 21st century.
How wonderful to sort of continue that wonderful history of what we have here in the area.
Yes, indeed. He's very historically minded. We're very grateful to him. We were able to add an addition to the building when he donated this money, and so we have even more display space.
Well, how much square footage is in the Tom Tabor Museum?
It's about 3,600 square feet.
Well, there's all kinds of things for everyone. Right now, there's a great exhibit about motorcycles that we can talk about, as well as anything from model trains to wonderful history of Lycoming County from ancient times till now. It's almost like, why haven't I been there before? People should be asking.
I hope so. I hope everybody in the county is asking that same question.
Tell me a little bit about the motorcycle exhibit going on right now through September.
I am thrilled to be able to talk about the motorcycle exhibit. We try to do a changing exhibit every summer, and so we've varied it. Last year, for instance, we had needlework on display. This year, the offer came forward for a private collection of vintage motorcycles, and they are just awesome. Indians, Harleys, and Triumphs. Also, a very rare Cleveland, which dates from 1920. My understanding, there are only 5 of those known. One is at the Smithsonian, and one is right here in Williamsport.
Wow. How many people come to the door and say, I want to see the Cleveland?
Well, they don't specifically come to see that, but they come to see the Harleys or the Indians.
How did it work when you brought everything into the building? That makes me think like, wow, what large machines you had to deal with.
Oh, this gentleman is so kind. I mean, these are all from one private collection. He has a trailer to transport 4 at a time.
Okay.
The Monday before the exhibit opened, he brought 4 at a time. He made 6 trips, and then he went back the next day and picked up one more that was being restored. And then he came the following day, brought all sorts of memorabilia. So we have biker caps, we have kidney belts, we have posters, photographs. It just turned into a wonderful exhibit.
Who's coming to see these beautiful bikes?
Oh, a little segment of every part of the population.
Neat.
The very first person through the door was a 78-year-old woman who is a member.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I don't specifically like bikes, but I wanted to see this exhibit. And that was followed the following day by a group of bikers, all of whom ride vintage motorcycles. They gathered in Frederick, Maryland, and then came up here to see the bikes. They were from Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. And there's been a steady flow ever since that time.
Well, that's wonderful. And able to see the marketing and things that we don't really get to see anymore. It's really, what a wonderful collection.
Well, particularly wonderful is the tribute bike that Mr. Van Fleet and his brother built for their father. Their father started this tradition of motorcycle riding, and when he started a family, he sold that bike to support his family.
Wow.
Years later, the brothers found that exact year, that exact model, and refurbished it and gave it to their father. That gives me goose chills.
It really does.
Yeah.
Did you know when this was beginning that you were going to have this much love and spirit about people loving bikes and the Harleys?
I thought there would be a pretty good chance. And again, we've had a steady flow of people.
Well, this exhibit does go till September 20th?
I'm thrilled to say that.
Great. Well, that's going to be available for folks. Hopefully, we're going to just continue to stay open with face masks and social distancing. That's what my prayer is for sure.
You know, nobody has abused that. They've seen the signs on our doors, and they either go back to their car and pick up their face mask,
Nice.
or they come in already prepared. We've had no issues with that, and I'm grateful for that.
Wonderful. So parts of the Tabor Museum in the early times, I guess you really go back 500,000 years first, right?
Exactly, the Native American occupation. We have an extensive American Indian gallery, and it really does trace the different tribes and nations that were in this area.
Is it the Lenape tribe? Is that the one that was more prevalent here in the Susquehanna Valley?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And is there an exhibit specifically of them, or is it more of an overview of the entire region?
It's more an overview of the entire region. When you think about it, Lycoming County is the largest county in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, so we have a lot of ground to cover.
You do. Now, moving on from that point, then we're moving up toward quite through the 21st century and all of the beginning of the logging industry here in Williamsport. I'm sure there's a great showing of that.
We do indeed. We have a logging and lumbering gallery, which talks about the harvesting of the logs, what the logs were used for, the furniture industry that developed, the millionaires who arose from that endeavor, and we even bring that up through the present time of harvesting wood through the Keystone Wood product.
I really do love when you talk about things that we haven't really thought about. It's coming to the forefront.
Well, and one of our most intriguing objects in the museum is the portrait of Nellie Tallman.
Mm-hmm.
She's our resident ghost. The story is that her father was a student of Severin Rosen, famous still life painter. And Nellie was a squirmy little 3-year-old, and she did not want to sit in the high chair long enough to have her portrait painted. Unfortunately, she fell and broke her neck.
Aww.
And her dad was so upset. He did finish the portrait, but he couldn't bear to look at it. Put it away in the family house for several generations. House was sold, portrait was given here, and the claim is that the first night it was on the wall. Someone came down Maynard Street, saw something within the museum, crashed through the front doors, and when personnel arrived, Nellie was sitting very happily on the floor and not on the wall.
Oh, my gosh.
And so they claim she will not stay on the wall unless she's facing a Severin Rosen painting.
Well, that's a wonderful story. That certainly wants me to come through the door to look at that.
Well, and when we've had school tours, of course, if they remember anything about the museum, they remember Nellie Tallman.
Yeah, those funny stories definitely stick in kids' heads. I wanted to also ask about the genealogy factor. If anybody's really doing any kind of looking up of their family history, the Tabor Museum has an area where you can do that.
We are so fortunate to have our research library. It's staffed by members of the Lycoming County Genealogical Society. And if people want to come in and do their family history, those volunteers are right there, and they are so willing to help you. They will often look things up for you to advance your research.
It's wonderful to have the people with the knowledge that can look up a map and say, oh, wait, this is the one you want. You know, you can be guided by people who have a little more knowledge about the area.
And we've had more people come through who are now related to the library volunteer staff by virtue of genealogy.
No doubt. Now, tell me about the Shemmp Train collection.
Oh, it's simply one of the highlights of the museum. LaRue Shemmp was a local man, grew up with the trains running in and out of Williamsport, developed a great love of model trains, and he started collecting before many other people started collecting. He amassed this fabulous collection of over 300 model trains, and they are here. They're on permanent display. We actually have 2 layouts. People can play with those.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes when I'm here by myself in the museum, I go play with the train.
I think that's probably what any grown man would do.
Exactly.
That's pretty beautiful. I think that just being able to see them, and do you have them set up at the Christmas time? If you have any tours, do people use the trains as far as the Christmas spirit?
Well, we always participate in the Toy Train Expo, which was founded by Will Hoffman, and it began here, I think it was 35 years ago. I was there kind of in the beginning, but not at the absolute beginning. And it's expanded so much, it goes over to Park Place, goes to the Herdick Transportation Museum, and I have the honor of being Ebenezer Scrooge.
Oh, nice.
I like to yell at people.
Doesn't sound like your personality, Gary. It's a little step away.
Well, for one day out of the year.
Okay.
I'm often called the Grinch, by the way. So I'm not sure.
We got to make your heart grow 3 sizes that day.
And paint myself green.
No doubt. So you're looking forward for that, I guess, for this year at the Christmas time holiday?
I hope it will come off.
Mm-hmm. We're definitely keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Speaking of things coming up, there's different things that you've been sort of moving around for the museum schedule. Will you still be having your society programs coming up here in August and September?
Yes, trying very hard to reestablish that. I have one lady on board who's going to talk about the history of the Sturgis Pretzel Company.
That sounds good, like from Hanover.
Yes, and she brings samples.
Oh, that's a draw. I'll bring the cheese dip.
Oh, okay. Deal. Always do something special near Christmas, near the holidays. For the past couple years, the Williamsport Music Club has come in and sung songs that go along with our theme of the exhibit. For instance, last year, we had a very special exhibit of When the Circus Comes to Town.
Oh.
There were hundreds of carved figures done by Rob Warren, and so they sang music that, or when it popped or something like that. Anyway.
Sweet. So we're going to walk through time when we come to the Tabor Museum. We can start 500,000 years ago and go right up to the 21st century. I guess there's hands-on stuff like general store and barbershop stuff. You can look at the one-room schoolhouse. Kids probably get a big kick out of stuff like that.
Oh, yes, and we've installed a jail cell door from the old Lycoming jail. You can stand inside the cell and take a cell fee.
Oh, that's good. You museum people are so clever.
Well, we try to be.
I love it. Well, I was over on that side of town the other day, right around West 4th Street. I was over there looking for a store. I'm like, oh, my gosh, here's the Tabor Museum, 858 West 4th Street, and you're open Tuesday through Sunday.
Right, Tuesday through Friday, 9:30 till 4, Saturdays 11 till 4, Sundays 1 until 4. So lots of opportunities come in.
And you do provide discounts for veterans?
Yes, and also AAA.
Oh, good.
And our members, of course, are admitted free.
Well, wonderful. Families can get a package deal, children ages 3 to 12 and up to 2 adults.
Yes, indeed.
Great.
$25.
And how can we find you online so we can get a little more detail about different activities coming up for the future?
It's tabormuseum.org.
TABER.
Correct. Thank you.
I bet that's, sometimes it can be tough.
It does get misspelled on occasion.
All right. Well, Gary Parks, how long have you been with the museum?
Well, I started as a one-day-a-week archivist back in 1992, and then I was director at another museum in the area, and then became director here in January of 2011.
Do people approach you and say, I have something I want you to look at?
Oh, definitely.
They see you coming.
I'm thrilled for that. You never know what they're going to bring in. I have a lady coming sometime soon. She has a painting of a horse, and she said that the story is that there was an artist in the area who would paint the millionaires on Millionaires Row, and this family decided they wanted their horse painted instead, and she is thinking of giving it to the museum. So I'm thrilled. I can't wait.
You're going to have to start an Equine Hall.
That would be wonderful.
Oh, it's wonderful to hear about all these beautiful things in this museum. 3,600 square feet, you say?
I think so.
Oh, my gosh, that's a big space to see a lot of history right here in Lycoming County. I think it's a good place to start the second you move here.
Oh, absolutely. I'd encourage everybody to come in. One comment that I've heard often is, I was here in third grade.
Oh.
Now, grandparents have changed the exhibits, believe it or not.
Amazing. It's a good thing you do rotate a lot of things so it doesn't get old ever.
Yes, indeed.
Gary Parks, thank you so much for joining me today. You're the executive director of the Thomas T. Tabor Museum of Lycoming County Historical Society, where you can find just all kinds of history. What's your slogan? Do you have a slogan for the Tabor Museum?
Where history comes alive.
Well, it certainly is today, and it's going to continue Tuesday through Sunday. We'll see you out there next week. If you're spending time, have people in town, come on by. Show them the beautiful Harley Davidson versus Indian Wars, a motorcycle exhibit through the summer.
Thank you so much for promoting it.
InTouch is locally produced in our studios at 1685 4 Mile Drive in Williamsport. To get in touch with us regarding questions, comments, or topic ideas, call weekdays between 8 and 5, 570-323-8200. You can also write to us at 1685 4 Mile Drive, Williamsport, PA 17701. Attention Freddie Hammer. Or email me at fhammer@backyardbroadcasting.com. For archive programs of our InTouch series, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Backyard Broadcasting. Each current weekly program is featured on the Backyard Broadcasting websites. Thanks for listening to InTouch, a production of Backyard Broadcasting.